So 15 minutes and 20 seconds into episode 7, you'll begin a story called Room. This story is based on the Takagi-San manga chapter 28, His Room. However, there are several differences between the anime and the manga chapter. The story starts in the empty lot that Takagi and Nishikata practice tandem riding in. She asks him how he's doing with his summer homework, to which he says he's doing alright. She then suggests that they study together. Nishikata says that he has plans at noon. While he doesn't share those plans in the anime, he does state in the manga that the plan is to meet a friend. Takagi says that they will study until then, but Nishikata is still a little reluctant about it, until Takagi bribes him with her notes. In the manga, Nishikata doesn't need any bribes to study, but Takagi does bribe him for something else, which I will get into later. Nishikata suggests studying at the library before realizing they wouldn't have time to get there and get work done. Takagi says they should just study at Nishikata's place. This is followed by what has got to be one of the most smoothly animated shots in the entire show. Now, in the manga, there is an entire sequence of events not present in the anime where Nishikata and Takagi are walking to his house. It is at this point that Takagi bribes Nishikata with her notes, but this time in exchange for a tandem ride on her bike to Nishikata's place, something that Nishikata agrees to despite his manga and anime counterpart being opposed to tandem riding on roads. It's at this point that the title card shows up, and it is very similar to the manga's title card. They get to Nishikata's house. Takagi announces herself as she goes through the front door. While I can't find any solid info on this practice, I have seen it done in some other shows before, so I can assume it's probably some sort of cultural custom, but I can't know for sure. Nishikata says that her introduction is unnecessary as his parents are at work at the moment, so they have the house to themselves. When they get to his room, Nishikata looks stressed out beyond belief and wonders if this is a dream, while Takagi looks around excitedly. This is the first time she has ever been in his room. When she notices him spacing out, she gets real close to him to ask if he is alright. His response is to jump back and say that he's absolutely fine. It is at this point that Takagi finds Nishikata's collection of 100% unrequited love manga. A nice little callback to bookstore, cold, and shopping. Nishikata goes into full defense mode, likely after being so stressed out up until this point, and steps towards Takagi-san to get her away from his bookshelf. But he gets way too close and quickly backs off while apologizing. Takagi steps up to him to get close again and tells him that he doesn't need to apologize if he likes it. Nishikata freaks out about what she's saying and the fact that they're home alone until Takagi pulls a bait and switch and makes the subject of a statement about 100% unrequited love. Also worth mentioning, this part of the story is anime exclusive, that is to say, this part does not happen in the manga at all. After saying that they should start studying, Nishikata realizes that he only has the one desk and no small tables to bring in. Takagi suggests sharing the one chair, only long enough for Nishikata to imagine it and react to it before she tells him that she was only joking. She then puts on a very happy looking face and suggests that they study on the bed. But before Nishikata can even respond, she explains that if you pull the sheets off, you can use the bed as a desk. They then begin to study. Worth mentioning that this is the last time I'll be comparing the anime to the manga, as the manga seems to jump straight from this point to the point that Takagi leaves, meaning it is missing the part of the story that makes it so important to the anime, and probably the reason that Epsilus0 I asked me to analyze it in the first place. So once Nishikata and Takagi are studying, Takagi reveals that she has only brought her kanji workbooks and none of her notes. Nishikata accuses her of tricking him, to which Takagi denies it outright, and then has a little laugh at him. Nishikata realizes that if all they're doing is kanji writing, there's really no reason for them to be studying together. However, shortly after this, he glances over and finds himself staring at her, something he also did in stories like Cold, and would go on to do in stories like Portrait. He eventually loses concentration and makes a mistake in his workbook. He reflexively goes to grab his eraser. Takagi was also reaching for the eraser at the time, and their hands touch. Now what's important to note here is that this situation is a genuine accident. Had Takagi done this on purpose, she would be smirking about now, but instead she wears a very surprised expression, somewhat similar to the face she makes in Critical Hit. Nishikata reflects on a similar situation in 100% Unrequited Love, where the protagonist uses a similar situation to get closer to the female lead. This is likely a reference to Cold, when Nishikata tried to deliberately use a trick from 100% Unrequited Love to embarrass Takagi. But since his head is not affected by sickness, he very quickly realizes that he could never attempt something like that. Takagi, obviously also feeling a little nervous, tries to break the tension by asking if that was Nishikata's eraser, and accepting fault for the mistake. Nishikata tries to play along with this tension breaker without realizing that he's still holding Takagi's hand. When Takagi brings this up, Nishikata jolts up and runs off to get drinks. Takagi watches him leave the room with an awkward smile. From here, 3 very important things happen. Firstly, she hears a wind chime and watches it for a while. At least I thought it was a wind chime until I did some research. Turns out it's called a furin. According to the research I've done, a furin is typically hung in summer and is meant to help people get through the hot months by providing a beautiful sound whenever the breeze touches it. This could potentially be a gift from Takagi, given that Nishikata's birthday wasn't all that long ago, given that he is a Cancer and it's nearly the end of summer. Perhaps the sound of the furin makes her feel safe, as traditionally they're meant to ward off evil spirits. Perhaps it's a reminder that summer is coming to an end and the chiming has made her reflect on the summer that she has spent with Nishikata. Or maybe she just likes the sound it's making. I don't know. I did a lot of research on these things, I got really excited, and I went full blue curtains on it. Next, she looks at Nishikata's pinboard behind his desk and sees the status quo piece that she made for him during calligraphy. At first, it may seem odd that Nishikata would hang this in his room, given that the intended meaning from Takagi was, "You're easy to tease, and I want you to stay that way." However, it is possible that Nishikata sees this status quo as his and Takagi's involvement in each other's lives. And as we would learn 3 episodes later in Two Choice Question, or 5 episodes later in Seating Arrangement, he also wants to keep that status quo. Believe it or not, right up to the point that I watched this episode to analyze it, I thought Takagi's reaction to all this was to cover her mouth and laugh, but on closer inspection she is actually grabbing her chest and taking a quick breath, likely to keep herself from crying, similar to how she acted in Critical Hit. The episode then jumps forward to Takagi leaving. An important observation in this scene is that it's lit as though the sun is setting, which means that Takagi and Nishikata have been studying together long after noon has come and gone. Takagi says that she will be back, and instead of getting angry or flustered, Nishikata simply thinks to himself, I guess I better clean my room then. Which suggests that despite his previous protests, he actually enjoyed spending the day with Takagi and looks forward to the next time enough that he'd be willing to prepare for it. This part of episode 7 carries a lot of significance. Firstly, it's the last story to take place in their first summer break, given that the very next story happens in episode 8, and that story is Typhoon when they're walking to school. It shows development in Nishikata as he goes from freaking out about Takagi being in his room to accepting it as something that's probably going to happen again and something worth preparing for. And probably most importantly, this is the first time we see Takagi having a weak moment. Something I love about Takagi's character is that while she has the facade of an unbreakable person, she is actually quite emotionally vulnerable if confronted with the right things. Usually signs of affection, intentional or not. For example, holding your hand and not immediately pulling it away. The best example of this is in Critical Hit, but that will have to wait for another day. So that was Room, and as it stands, this will not be the only Takagi-San analysis I do. I currently plan to analyze Two Choice Question, Critical Hit, and Seating Arrangement. If you would like me to add any episodes or stories to that lineup, please let me know in the comments below. If you'd love to catch those analyses as they come out, make sure you subscribe. Did you know that I write and direct my own short films? It's true. If you'd like to see them, check out the parent channel Big Joe Productions. And if you would like to see the original script and all the notes I took for this episode, then support me on Patreon. Links below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.